everyone. I want to welcome you back for part 3 of our interview with Dean, and stay tuned for more announcements.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanted to work with Ron Howard. I still want to, obviously, but I had done some research. I went and worked at a boot, selling cowboy boots in order to learn how to swing guns. He was doing the drawing of the 3, I think it was called, when he was first developing it, and then he made it into the Dark Tower. And,
right.
He just out of a gunslinger story. Yeah, it's based on Stephen King's books, and I kind of heard about it, and I decided I was going to do that. So I got some gunslinging. There's these replica guns and old Western. It's like a gun belt made of leather, and so you can learn how to quick draw, and I didn't spend a lot of time doing much else but that, spinning this gun around in this replica gun in this beautiful cowboy boot store with all of this cowboy gear and all these cowboy hats and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, it reminded me of my days when I was growing up in Calgary. You know, that's a stampede town just in Alberta.
Jason Momoa got really good at the whole gunslinging spinning thing. He used to do it at the cons with some of the Traveler blasters that were, and he loved playing with them and seeing how well they were weighted compared to some of the real props and whatnot. I've made 1 or 2, but they are not fun props to make. Those things were so detailed and intricate, and the amount of hours you spend on them, and then you try to sell them for a few $100. It's just not even worth the time sometimes, but they're beautiful pieces. I mean, the people that have gotten their hands on the real ones, or a couple of the nice replicas that are out there,
I had like an 1867 Colt revolver replica, totally weighted properly and everything else like that, but it didn't have. You couldn't put in any leads, into the
rounds.
Yeah, you couldn't put any rounds or anything. And it screwed up the weight if you did. But yeah, I could spin on that, and they had it. It's still there. It's in Yaletown here in not Yaletown, but what's it called? Gastown. Just behind, there's this old statue. It's been there since way back, called Gassy Jack. It's right there, called OK Boot Corral. And it's got all this funky. The old guy who works in there is just so cool, and he just let me play with this gun all day. I could flip it up around my back and catch it with this hand, right? And then flip it under the arm, catch it here, and then flip it, put it back in. It was so much fun. I didn't know that Jason could play with all that stuff too. That's cool.
He got very talented in Atlantis because he had the whole gunslinger whole.
Yeah, it was a great game.
Traveler blaster and.
Yeah,
I prefer this.
I can see why you would.
That gun was whoever came up with that, and added. And I know he used to make some of his own stuff as like leather pieces and whatnot, and now I'm so excited for Aquaman and stuff. I mean, and even Joe Flanagan used to talk about memorizing lines or whatever, because him and Jason were roommates for such a long period of time. And
Neanderthal man just moved in, and of course finally I was like, hey, this is a free apartment and there's no reason we shouldn't just use it. So we end up living together for over 2 years, and it was great. I mean, he's one of my best friends, great guy. I question his taste in interior decorating, but I still spend a lot of time with him, and so I like action a lot in that regard. A little less dialogue too, that helps. Ask Jason. Ronan, what are you doing? We would go home and I'd have to go and work on my lines, and Jason would be like, yeah, I'm done. Going downstairs, get a scotch, Moji, you want to go? I'd be like, no, I have actually dialogue.
Jason be like, hey, I'm going out. You want to? And he's like, no, I've got like 9 more hours of memorizing lines. And he's like, all right, you're done with your lines. I've got to go back and do real acting. So Yeah.
I've only heard lovely things about Joe Flanagan. I haven't met him personally. I look forward to it. Yeah.
Oh, my heart breaks for Joe right now. He lost his house in the Malibu fires and
Oh man.
posted on
Richard
Instagram.
as well.
What's that?
Did RDA as well lose his home there?
No, Paul posted everything was okay as far as I read the last time. Joe's house burnt down. I mean, all of it. And like all of his neighbors were fine. He posted on his Instagram and he was putting videos up and he had like these big ski goggles on and a mask.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's a freaking apocalypse. And he was like showing, you know, and like everything was gone. His house was gone. The garage was gone. Everything. I mean, the gas main was still on fire. You could hear it in the background. And he swings around and there's like this 5-foot flame and it's just shooting straight natural gas out of the ground. It's on fire.
This is sort of an apocalyptic landscape right now. We're trying to reach Malibu by boat. It's a fucking apocalypse here. That was my carport. And this is my house right here. As you can see. And gas burning. We have live wires everywhere. Every house next to me survived, and my house burned. That's just the way it goes.
Dozens of those flare-ups and the destruction has just been incredible. This was an airstream at one point. You can see just completely melted. This metal down here, those are the rims. That is how hot this fire was. And look at the destruction of this home. Nothing left standing. We spoke to the owner of this house, John. He's lived here his entire life. It was his father's house before him. His dad was an animator with Disney, and he apparently had scores of just irreplaceable and priceless Disney memorabilia that was in this house, and especially in those file cabinets that you see over there. A lot of memorabilia that is just gone. Everything in this house gone. He watched as his neighbors' homes went up as well, and you can see these down power lines. These are all over the place, something that firefighters are very concerned about, residents are very concerned about. Actually, and I want to tell you, we've seen a lot of these residents over here. These residents have been going house to house. Some of them have been putting out hot spots. Guys, can I get your names really quick? Who wants to talk?
I'm Joe Flanagan. Yeah.
Live here?
I live here. My house burned down, yeah.
I am so sorry to hear that. What are you guys doing right now?
We took a boat up, and we've got a bunch of supplies, and we're trying to deliver them to people. Things they need: water, gas masks, and gas.
And how? I mean, this place is under mandatory evacuation order. This whole area. Why come back to this location?
Because there's a dearth of emergency services. It's remarkable, and so we saved a friend's house yesterday. They had hot spots all around his house. So it's hard to tell a homeowner not to come when there's not enough people to protect. And I don't necessarily recommend people coming up here to do this, but it's hard to stop a homeowner from saving their property.
Were you here when your home burned down?
No, I got out. Yeah. And weirdly enough, every house around me survived, but mine went down. So there's a randomness sometimes.
Now, driving through, we've been through this area all day, and you just see home after home after home. How do you describe what you're seeing when you're driving around?
You have to remember what a small community Malibu is. We all know each other. So you're running around, you're like, that's Bob's house. That's my friend Tom's house of 40 years. He's a 75-year-old man. You know, it's devastating. And so we're not the first community to go through something difficult like this, but it's a really strong community. So it'll be interesting to see how things get done from here on.
How do you think that you're going to move forward as a community?
I don't know, but I'm just going to do it. You know, I have no idea. So I'm trying to not think long term right now.
So you're taking a boat out of here when you're done, is that right?
Yeah, we took a boat up here and we're taking it back out.
Thank you so much for all that you're doing, and thank you for stopping to talk to us. Really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you so much. Stay safe out there. Thank you. Now, again, this whole area is under mandatory evacuation orders. Authorities urging anybody who lives in these areas to get out and get out now. Do it for your safety. But we have seen a lot of people like that who've been going around these neighborhoods. They've been carrying buckets of water. They've been dousing hot spots in their neighbors' homes. Even residents like that whose home has burned down himself, he is still coming back here and trying to help the homes that are still standing here. We've seen people with shovels. They've been digging in those hot spots, trying to make sure that they don't flare up. And again, just look at the damage. This is what can happen. This home just absolutely gutted. And again, this person who had lived here his entire life. Just extraordinary damage on this street. Again, this whole area is under mandatory evacuation orders. Authorities urging people, if you do live in one of these areas, to get out and get out quickly. Live in Point Dume, Chelsea Edwards, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Chelsea, just so awful. These pictures are really devastating.
And that's a neighbor right there. That's a member of a community who lost his home and still returns to help his neighbors in the firefight, bringing supplies to those who are hurting.
And you can understand their frustration.
Is he okay? Is he covered?
I have no idea. He posted again the other day. He had some, he's dressed nice, had some jeans on, looked like some new shoes and everything, and he was like back to the grind, is what he said on.
Yeah. Oh man, I would work with him and make him develop anything, man. I mean, yeah, he's such a good dude. I hear it all. I've never met him, like I said. So I saw his spirit. He came back. He went over the water by himself in a boat. His house is already gone to help everybody. That's cool, man. That's the real hero deal. That's the real thing.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I've met him numerous times, and we built a little bit of a relationship over the costuming and whatnot. He was, the first time I met him, he was so impressed with my costume and everything, and me and a buddy were all dressed up, full Lannis Tat gear, head to toe, and we made it ourselves, and he was just blown away. And then they found out I was military and everything. He's like, "Oh man, I got to try to get you on the show." And he was so just personable with people, and I just, I really appreciated that. And he got back to me later, and he's like, "Man," he's like, "all the extras are Canadian Actors Guild people, and you're an American, so you're not allowed to be an extra." And I was like, "Oh, you're killing me," because he was just going to try to get me a real quick little piece where, I was one of the gate room security guys, and just in the background, no lines, just.
I saw that in the movie that you did do. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that last interview, so that was good.
Well, I talked to Dan Payne extensively, about 10 years ago about, and he introduced me. He goes, "Ryan, what you need to look at is special ability extras." So he goes, "These are people that can, shoot guns or handle equipment, and you've got certain talents, and you're not just some guy off the street that they just throw in some clothes and you just stand there." He goes, "You have extra ability, so
you need your skills." Yeah,
he's like, "Look at doing stuff like that." So that was, that's where I was trying to point that direction. But no, unfortunately, I never got in the gate. So, but I entered the contest a lot.
Cool. And they had contests to get on screen?
Yeah, they had the Get in the Gate contest they did there for a couple of years. It was a gal over in the UK that won, and then she got a walk-on role. And the Walking Dead's been doing stuff like that, and it's really smart to interact. I mean, if you want to look really at a fan base and how to interact with them, The Walking Dead is probably the best platform that they've developed. I mean, they develop an entire 1-hour talk show that follows your TV series.
I saw that, right? It's on AMC, right?
Yeah, Hardwick hosts it, and basically they bring in characters. A lot of times when they kill somebody off, they have them on the couch, and once in a while they bring in one of the executive producers or whatever, talk about things, and they're real hush with spoilers and stuff, but they get to share these personal moments and talk about stuff behind the scenes, and they have contests, and
that's the way to go, man.
Giveaways, and they give away props, and they just completely interact with the fans. And I wish MGM would really embrace something like that and be willing to throw the money out there, and because the fan base is there. The fan base is there. But if they would approach, they've never really, on the marketing side of things, they've never really hit the mark, you know, whether it's been, you know, quality toys or, you know, model ships, or, I mean, there's been all these things that us as fans have had to kind of fill in these gaps ourselves, and they've missed the mark, and there's such an opportunity there now.
But they're catching up. Like, but you can see that, right? I mean, with Stargate Command and with everybody, you know, and all of these fan groups, you know, all of that is, they're catching up, I believe. Now, I'm not trying to give anyone too much credit or anything like that, but I think MGM realizes the commodity that they've got here, and that it shouldn't just be something that is no longer used. Yeah, this is something they can continue on with, and I know that they want to. They've expressed that, you know? So it's not dead. It's not gone.
No,
you know?
and I think that want and desire is there, but again, it's getting people with the checkbook to bottom line things, because everything's a risk.
And you can do that by pre-sales and things like that too, and I'm sure that that's what they're looking at, because there's, like you said, there's a couple places and things where models that worked that they didn't initiate and put into practice themselves, but that others did that worked. Why not use it? And if you don't have a copyright on it and you're willing to let them use it, then they will.
The tough part now is with the streaming services, because they're getting away, and I talked about this in one of my previous videos, is they're getting away from cable. You know, we're cutting, you know, cable's going the wayside. But the problem is now everybody wants their own streaming service. I mean, Disney's going to have their own one. MGM started their own one, you know, and then you got Netflix and Hulu and everybody else in the game. Well, the whole idea for streaming was to save money. But now, you know, even if you want to watch Star Trek, you've got to get the CBS thing and pay $3.99 a month and sit there for 6 months waiting on the show to come out again. So
it's like that our little agreement thing, you know, those little boxes and all that stuff, is like that little agreement, and when we accept isn't really the agreement that we're going into. Yeah, I get you, and I agree with you. What the streaming thing and all that, yeah, it's a distribution, you know, deal. All of that modeling that you talked about in the sense of where it comes to the franchise itself, Walking Dead specifically, right? They interact with the fans as they're in the process, right? That's something they didn't utilize, that being Stargate didn't utilize at the time. But because it's not dead, and the possibilities of them, and I think they're smart enough seeing that as a template, if you will, you know, The Walking Dead and how successful it is. And they've already got a successful franchise that's all ready to go, and they will continue to go on with it on whatever levels, whether it's, you know, I don't know if it's live action, if it's cartoons, if it's whatever they're going to do. You know, I'm supportive of all of it. But they will, I'm sure, use that same model, you know, to interact with them at the time, during the time. Yeah, in retrospect, yeah, they missed the boat at the time. But, you know.
Well, the biggest complaint now is now you've got to pay all these different membership fees. So everybody was sick of their $120, $150 cable bill. So people have gotten rid of cable, but by the time you sign up for all these different services, you're right back paying $100 and some a month just so you can watch everything you want to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that they've fixed anything. They've just created a new problem. So that's the thing that people are struggling with right now. And Sci-Fi Channel has completely slit their throat in the last 15 years, as far as I'm concerned. It all started with Bonnie Hammer and wrestling, and they, you know, you can't put someone in charge of something that has no experience. You know, and sure, Bonnie's a CEO of all these different things, and you know, but she wasn't a sci-fi fan. So how do you put somebody in charge? You know, that's like putting a chief in charge of the fire department that's never put a fire out.
Right? Yeah.
You're only setting yourself up for disaster. And you know, even Joe went through that with Dark Matter. He had his whole plan and everything, and so they end up pulling the plug on him because they want to go with Sharknado movies or, you know, the sci-fi original TV series, because they make a little bit more coin with their own stuff than the outside stuff. So even though the ratings are there, they're not making as much money, so they look at it from a bean counter perspective, and they start pulling the plug. I mean, we saw Fox do this with Firefly, and look, you know, they completely just shot themselves in both feet on that.
It seems like that's the template, though. Like that's literally the template, which is, you know, Star Trek, you know, and all of those things. It's just like they got canceled, you know, and all the, you see, and we've all seen, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay. And then they come up with, you know, whether it's a reboot for this or a reboot for that. And then it comes out on and is streaming on Netflix, right? And so that's where you got, I don't know. Like, I don't know when it comes to this specific franchise, but I think when it comes to the distribution and I really like watching, you know, say, and the only one that I know of, honestly, well, I know two, Hulu and Netflix, and that I really enjoy sort of watching the ones that they originally shoot, that Netflix does or that Hulu does, the original content. I enjoy that almost more than I enjoy the other things that are reboots or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I really, you know, I got into the Jessica Jones and those series because they're not, you know, they're not full on Marvel stuff, but it ties in, you know, and I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then I just met Elizabeth Henstridge when I was out in Rhode Island, saw RDA again. And so I had my black SG-1 costume on. I just ditched the coat and the jacket, and I threw on my shield coat. It's actually on my chair.
All right. Dude, very cool.
So those are fun. I've sold a few of these. I've got quite a few of these. I need to do the video for it, but we figured out what jacket it was, and they've even used this. John Jones even wore this exact jacket on Supergirl. So they're very common tactical style look, but you know, you slap some shield patches on and it's a great 3-season jacket, you know, and you can show your fandom and walk around. I mean, my buddy and I, we do it all the time, and we'll be walking through just a random store or restaurant, you know, and just out of the blue, some guy or, you know, oh, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you know, and they're like, they love it. And we just like, you know, hey, that's classified, you know. We have fun with it, you know. But it's I call it covert costuming. So
well, we recognize one another. The thing that I'm, you know, really enjoying is that fandom, that whole conventioneering and costuming and getting dressed up, and like you said, showing your fandom, showing who you support, who you love, and you know, I think it's so cool because I get to see it from that other side. Which is, I meet people that are my friends now at these conventions. They're supposed, like they get the label fan, right? But they're fans, but they're friends. Like I look forward to seeing them at the next convention, and at the next event, and at the next thing. And it's because we share the same love for all of this. It's all of it. It's the lighting designer as well as the actor, as well as the you know, there's this. I can't remember the lady's name, but she's the consultant for the scientists, and she comes to all the conventions every time, and right down to these people. Do you know what I mean? To the degrees of what we've put into it, we all love it, and yeah, I make new friends, and I care about what their stories about. I get to know what you're about and where you come from. You said that you know, relationships like marriages and stuff like that come right about. We had an engagement at the Invasion just in 2018. You know, so lovely, such cool things, and it's family entertainment. It's not, you know, it's not all about money and all this stuff. And if we can keep that love going, that's, you know, and give a new creative, but at the same standard, that same bar that we talked about.
Right.
Then we have nothing to lose. It's only going to be just more and more and more. And you know that Brad's got more stories, and you know, and I know that, you know, we got more.
Oh yeah, it's just it's getting, you know, Brad or whoever to get those stars aligned, get those checkbooks out, and I know that there's probably something coming down the pike that I haven't been privy to yet. I've heard some chatter from some people that I know, but it's just you know, it's frustrating. You want them to pull the trigger, you want them to, you know, push forward on something, but it takes time. It takes time. It takes a lot of money, but
yeah. So what I'm doing in the meantime for myself is to, and without, you know, having any expectations that, oh, you know, we're going to go to work next week, is I'm developing other stories and other things. I got 3 different feature films in development that I'm doing. They're not those stories that I said that I wanted to play.
Right, that one hasn't come across.
Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra. There's neither of those. But the one is what do you think? Sort of look like a Batman villain guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Wolverine. Yeah. One of the two. Yeah. But I want to do a pitch for a DC Comics to do a Rachel Gould one-off feature film. Yeah. Right. And why not get someone that's not like super duper known and all the rest of stuff? Like I can embody that character. I think it would be great, you know. So I got a director friend of mine. I got a writer, and we're producing it. We put the whole thing together for DC, and you know, just put it in the mail. Hopefully, they get back to us.
Yeah. People are constantly pitching stuff. I was privy to some stuff Gary Jones was working on. Unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition, but you know, there's always another iron in the fire, you know, with you guys. So it's fun to hear about it and learn about the different things and be privy to those different experiences. But,
and you know, we're supportive of each other too. You know, like I put out to others, and Gary did as well. You know, to the other actors and performers in the Stargate universe to, you know, to come in and play with us, and they've all, you know, been supportive. They're happy to, you know, whatever the thing is. Like I said, I've got like about 4 or 5 different projects that I'm working on, and I've asked for some support from some of our other co-stars, and they've been very supportive, you know, and even saying, well, you know, whatever it is, Dean, I'll give you a hand, or of course, all these guys are so cool. I wouldn't be giving them anything but big, huge roles. So.
Yeah, Gary and I have talked about possibly working together too at a convention and stuff, and just blurring those lines a little bit, because it's always just a dealer over here or an, you know, a celebrity or actor over here, and if we found the right venue to be able to just blur those lines and mix it, you know, where I can help bring Gary into a con, you know, he can sit there and sign autographs at my booth. You know, and then he can take a break or go on stage for an hour and do a talk and then come back, or even work with possibly a green screen person where they can do photos.
I would love to do that with both of you guys.
Yeah, Gary's got his flight suit and all that stuff, you know, and
right on.
Talk to him. We just got to find the right venue and everything to do that type of stuff. But I enjoy, you know, working with you guys and just, you know, and I know you've been struggling with your injury and everything, and then trying to, you know, literally get back on your feet and work again. So we were talking, you know, and you've got all these autographs and stuff. So, you know, I want to offer to, you know, the fan base and stuff, a way to connect with you and get some of these personal autographs and stuff. You know, I'm not trying to make any money off of this. This is just more of a advertising campaign for you to, you know, expand your fan base, you know, and I'll help you with the shipping and whatnot, and just help connect with these fans, you know. So I also thought, you know, you can maybe do some phone calls, whether it's birthday surprises or, you know, whatnot. People can set this stuff up, and we can call people, or if they just want to, you know, throw a little money your way for your time to just, you know, chat on the phone and ask you some personal questions that don't have to be broadcast all over the entire world or something. So
I'm just grateful for the attention. So, and for you to help me so much, it really is generous on your part. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. You know.
Well, I'm trying to grow my channel, and I've seen Taylor. He was up there at GateCon and got to do all these interviews, and I was lucky enough with Kelly that she just happened to see one of my videos and she posted, and she was like, "Oh, hey, I was the little girl in Stargate," and I about fell out of my chair. I was like,
Right?
"What?" And I looked at her name and I Googled it. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's really her." So I was like, "Hey, will you message me on my site?" And so she sent me a message and gave me her email, and then we talked, and I said, "I'd really love to interview you for my channel," and she's like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And she just, oh my God, and her family now, they're traveling around in that bus, and her kids, and they're just having all these great experiences and stuff. She's been posting photos, and she's just an incredible person. And it's, to me, this is blurring those lines again. I mean, you guys are just people too, and it's,
Well, thank you, man.
I know that, when you get up to the Richard Dean Andersons and the Ryan Reynolds level, I mean, people like their privacy, and they get bombarded with so much, but, to be able to take people that, aren't quite at that level, but they're willing to talk to fans. That's why I love Gary. I mean, Gary and I would text and send jokes back and forth, and he's always teasing me about my weight and stuff. I don't care. We laugh and we just have a good time, and he's always calling me slim and stuff like that. But
that's what I mean by all of this interaction, like the conventions and the interviews and all of that. We're making friends, and you say blur the lines. I say no. We're just opening the doors. We're, we have more in common than we have that separates us. You know what I mean? Especially you and me. When it comes to kids and your experience with Stargate, and then with costuming, and then with the military, and there's so many things that we have in common. You know what I mean? And then our age, and then this beard thing. So we have so much in common, and I'm just really grateful that you're willing to support us, Gary, Cliff, Eric, David, everybody, man. I mean, and to think that that such a lovely man like Joe is dealing with the repercussions of losing a home.
I can't imagine. And being a fireman, I've seen,
and
we
you guys,
had a
all of you
family.
care. So that's the coolest part, and to get that support, I need a little support, but I'm so grateful for it, and I'll get y'all guys back. I will. It's I'll show you some good movies and some, you'll see.
That'll be awesome. Well, we're going to definitely offer up some autographs. I did a poll on Facebook, and we kind of picked some of the top ones, and we're going to have those available. I'll put those up on the website, and there'll be a link in the description below, and where you can purchase some of Dean's autographs. And if you want them personalized, we can do that too. Might be a little more because we're going to have to start shipping across the state lines in Canada and all that. But
you can guess, hey? Yeah.
We want to make, we want to be as generous as we possible for you, Dean, and yet make it affordable for the fans as well. But if anybody is interested in even doing a phone call or something like that, then again, contact me through the links below, and we'll get that set up. And I'm sure Dean will be more than happy to talk with fans and engage them and tell stories. And
I'll tell you some more war stories. And there's some ones that I'm not allowed to tell, man. Yeah.
Right? They don't have to be recorded and posted all over the internet.
Well, I used to be, when I first moved here, I was just 17 years old, and I moved from Calgary. I flew in an airplane, the first time I was ever on an airplane. And I got here, and I was growing my hair out, and I'd grown it to about my shoulder length, all one length. And it's very, very, very curly. So I pull it back in a ponytail all the time, and this is way back late 80s. And it's 89 actually, specifically. And I got a chance to go and work as an extra on 21 Jump Street because I'd come from the theater. I wanted to work in television and film. I had no money whatsoever, and I needed to educate myself, And I figured, what the heck? I'll go and educate myself with the best, the best of the best, all right? The guys who are already working. I'll learn how to get to my mark, all the rest of the stuff. I knew the theater. I'd won some awards for, Calgary Drama Festival and a few things like that for live theater, but I didn't know film and television. And like I said, I didn't have any money. I went to work as an extra, and I got, for 2.5 years, I worked on 21 Jump Street straight. Like, as an extra, you don't get a job like this. I had a regular job. I went to work almost every day for 2.5 years as background extra on 21 Jump Street because it was the Chapel Gang. It was when everyone would go, the principal actors, Johnny Depp and Peter DeLuise and Dustin Nguyen and Holly. I can't remember what Holly's last name was. In any case, she and all of them were playing kids. They were adults who looked like kids who would infiltrate into high schools and get the bad guys in the high schools.
Right.
And so they would have to come back to a precinct that had all of the other cops looking like they were young as well and maybe could fit into high school. Well, I was one of those young cops in the background. And for continuity's sake, they would keep hiring us if we were still available. So I became friends with Peter DeLuise, and we got me and Peter and Johnny, and we got in a lot of trouble all the time that I can't talk about.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, those guys, I mean, that's, and that was the same thing that Kelly talked about these things coming full circle and being able to, the laws of attraction and being able to work with these people again down the road, whether it's you get called back for X-Files maybe in the future or, some resurrection of Anubis down the road with, a new Stargate show and a new team or,
Right.
and if they do it right and they bring back some of that talent, I know Amanda's doing a lot of directing now, whether it's Travelers, or some of these other fantastic shows have been developed, but to bring them back for these cameos, I know Richard Dean Anderson said he'd come back. I mean, it's just the opportunity is there right now, and I just really hope that MGM sees it and just seizes the opportunity. And
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
And goes for it. So hopefully we'll see more of you and we'll see more of everybody else. But I'm going to wrap this up because we've broken about 2 hours already. And
You broke the record.
yeah. Kelly was like 1 hour and 9 minutes, and we've probably doubled that at this point. So
You can edit out all the stuff that's boring.
yeah, I don't know. I don't like chopping too much out, but we'll get it in post.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Dean. And again, anyone that's interested in getting an autograph or even having a phone call, reach out to us and we'll get that set up for you. And
I'd look forward to it. And not just for the holidays. Anytime that you feel you want it, I'm in. Anytime.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time, Dean. I appreciate you being so personable and telling us, about everything, the experiences with your father and your struggles with dyslexia. And that's what I really want to make these interviews about is being real and connecting the fans to, the talent, but again, blurring those lines or opening those doors and avenues to.
Oh man. Well, it means a lot. To have those struggles and whatnot is to overcome them. One couldn't be here having this interview with you, talking about the accomplishments that we've accomplished if we didn't persevere. And that's the one thing I want to, inspire and help and share and just keep saying, look, you might not make, the big 3-point shot every time. But, just like Gretzky said, you can't make a goal if you don't take a shot.
Right.
Keep shooting, even if they say no, and that's kind of where I'm at. I really appreciate this opportunity to touch base with you guys. So if you appreciate it, you got to know I really appreciate it.
Well, that's awesome, Dean. I'm going to let you go, and we hope to see more of you in the future.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll keep you appraised, too. Yeah, we got lots of stuff coming.
Awesome. Good talking.
Okay, man. Peace.
Well, that wraps our interview with Dean. I want to personally thank him for his time, openness, and candidness with this interview. Again, it means the world to me that these people will do these interviews and reach out to you all, and you all keep watching and supporting my channel. Last year got away from me. We'll be making up for some missed giveaways very soon. I hope if you feel like I deserve it, please hit that thumbs up. And of course, please consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content in the future. And as always, thanks for watching.